I'm not griefing, I promise. I have to pee real fast and then grab some water, and I will start. So sorry, so sorry. I'll be right there. Hope, beats, and dreams. Let's go, baby! Oh, Dice Fun Sphere's here too, baby. What's good? What's good? Alright, Dog, you wanna come up? Alright. Let us. Okay. Let's open the gaggles. And let us open the scaffold. Let's get a new one going. All right, let's do this, baby. Oh, what the fuck? Oh. Yeah, baby. There we go. There we go. Yo, what's good, gamers? What's good? My name is Dr. Ryan Terrell, Psych Sensei, and welcome to the stream, baby. I'm a clinical esports psychologist, and I am super stoked to be here with you tonight. If you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can find more resources, and most importantly, a link to come work with me. That's right. If you want to fix your mindset, if you want to see how to think differently, or maybe see what's kind of going on, or just be curious about what's bouncing around your head, please fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can sit down, see what's kind of going on in there, make sense of things, baby. Or just have some fun and just poke around and see what you like and you don't like. And the best part about that meeting is it's completely free. That's right. First one's always free, baby. Tonight, we'll continue what we just did yesterday. We kind of talked about like when mindsets become toxic, but they didn't really have much information, which is really interesting. And then we kind of talked about toxic positivity. And then we had a good conversation with my good friend Dyson Sphere. And we were talking about growth mindset. So I thought it'd be more interesting tonight if we dove into some growth mindset-y stuff and seeing what it actually says with growth mindset and gaming. and kind of follow where the bouncing ball goes. But as always, this is a show for y'all and nerd out session for me. So if there's things that you want to know, if there's things that you want to talk about, things that you want to discuss, or just thoughts, yo, put it down in the chat. Love to hear them. And let's have some fun, shall we? But without any further ado, let's jump into it. And welcome. Oh, dude, I don't know what's going on with the what's your face? All right, let's actually, I want to make a button for that. Let's make a button real fast. Oh, I think Mimi also came home. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. This is article. This is mind map. It's a scam. Ooh, ow, 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 ow. And he's gone, just like that. He's gone. Where did it go, bro? Where did it go? All right, fuck it. We'll do it. We'll fix this after. But we need a button, so I don't have to keep pushing this. But here it is. All right. Let's get to it, baby. It was growth. All right, let's see. Let's take it recent, shall we, baby? But I don't know why I feel attacked, but I do feel attacked. Exploring a gaming-based intervention for unemployed young adults, a thematic analysis. I feel attacked. All right, understanding growth mindsets and practices in an introductory physical computing classroom. Interesting. Honestly, okay, so before we even start, I think they're gonna define it over and over and over again. But basically, what a growth mindset is, do you believe that you have power and control to change certain things over time with focus, energy, and effort? This is compared to and contrasted to a fixed mindset where you can't, or you believe that this is how it is forever and for always. You can't really change this thing. That's just, it is like that, you know? For example, even though it's not a fixed mindset, think about height. You can't, I mean, once you hit a certain point, unlucky, that's all you grow and you start shrinking from there. That's kind of like how a growth mindset is. That's it. It's, I hit this limit. That's all I will be forever, how tall I am. Versus if, I guess, growth mindset applied to your height. If I worked hard enough and slept more, or I don't know, I mean, whatever you could do with height, I could grow more. You know what I mean? Like taller. But unlucky, height doesn't work like that. But skills do work like that. And here's the thing. Yes, this is not to say that you are born with your inherent gifts and talents. I think that's important to discuss and say that yes, everyone has their own inclinations, their own gifts and talents that God or biology or the powers that be bestowed upon you. You know, think about like, what is that? It's like not a pentagram. Maybe it is a pentagram. Stats, pentagram. Like this. Everyone has one of these, you know? Have you seen this before in video games? This image here, where it's like, this could be like defense, offense, endurance, strength, magic, I don't know, whatever. And every character has some type of pentagram thing with all their abilities. And I mean, if you play D&D, that kind of stuff too, you know, like they have this preset, this is how your character works and operates, or like is skewed in that direction. Think of it like that. Everyone comes with this, but like each MMO RPG, you can put different points into things with enough focus, time, and effort. So I want you to think about this and then growing this. You're not forever stuck here. I mean, sure, you are if you don't put any points into any areas. For sure, that's how you're going to stay. But over time, the goal is to help you put points in things to continue to grow. And see how this graph is kind of skewed in this one direction? So this kind of means, like, for example, I don't know, humor. It's a character trait, right? Let's say that you're naturally kind of funny. You understand jokes, you understand people, and what makes people laugh, all that kind of stuff. But say you're really bad at math. Maybe this is a math index. It doesn't mean that you can't learn math. It just may take more time to learn math to get to the same point of how funny you are. That's it. That's it. And that's the basis of growth and fixed mindsets. And I think the most confusing thing is you can have a growth or fixed mindset towards different things. Like, for example, you may have a fixed mindset that you're like, dude, I'm just hard stuck gold. I don't know what's happening here, but like, I'm hard stuck. And no matter what I do, I'm just gonna be here forever because like teammates draw me down, or like the game's against me, or I just get fucked. I don't know. You know, things that you might tell yourself. But, for example, you could have a growth mindset that like, you know, I suck at cooking, but I know that if I just practice cooking and keep going cooking stuff, I'm gonna get better at it. So I guess that's a confusing thing with growth mindsets and fixed mindsets, is people think that you either have one or the other, but you can have both depending on what your perspective is and your experiences in that one area. So don't get it twisted. This is not a black and white thing. This is just a way to describe your perspective of, do you think you can grow with intentional effort and time and focus? Or do you think you're hard stuck and that's forever how it will be, you know? All right, let's find something juicy. And then if you see anything in chat, like chat, if you see anything that you like, you just shout that shit out and we'll go down that rabbit hole, baby. Let's see. Is there a specific game? Sorry, Dice. I know our game is dead, but you know, and MOBAs. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's see. Fail, fail again, fail better. How players enjoy challenging games, persist after failure in Celeste. I don't know that game. I want to see if there's something cool, you know, in gaming. I don't want to type esports in because esports is such a like a... Ooh! I was just gonna shit on esports and there it is. Boom. All right, what do we got here? All right. Reappraisal and mindset interventions. Oh, actually, before we do this, let me duplicate this tab. Let me go back real fast and let me cite this. Oh, not cite by one. Let's cite this article right here so we can bring it back up here. Cite our sources because you know what? This is a scientific show, baby. We use science here with actual knowledge and shit. All right. All right. Reappraisal and mindset interventions on pressurized esport performances. I think I skimmed a similar article earlier, but whatever. Okay. This study investigated the impacts of two low-resource interventions on esports competitors' responses to pressure, focusing primarily on state anxiety, challenge and threat appraisals, and action performance. Another thing that I really want to emphasize too is that like these things, they are perspective based. I mean, and what I mean by perspective based is like however you interpret it or however you see it, it is what it is, you know? So for example, when they say like anxiety challenge, what I think they're going to be talking about is how do you perceive challenge? And I guess if it's anxiety challenge, like you're worried about challenge, how you be performing, you know what I mean? Or if it's threat appraisals, what that mean is like you were in the situation, saber-tooth tiger, or like whatever comes up that's dangerous, and how are you appraising or evaluating what's going to happen? And then I guess action performance is like a verb, that sort of thing. And well, don't worry, I'm just like guessing, right? We'll go into it. All right. In experiment 1, a single session arousal appraisal intervention demonstrated a significant influence on high-pressure esports performance. Notably, not only promoted a shift in appraisal from threat to challenge, which I think is good. I think you want to see things as challenges versus threats. Because, I mean, if threats are coming, then you're like amygdala triggered on, versus challenge, you're figuring it out frontal lobes. And once amygdala gets kicked on, it just stays on because it's trying to keep you alive. You know what I mean? But also reduce cognitive and somatic anxiety. We like that. Increase quiet eye durations and heightened cognitive effort. In experiment 2, a preliminary assessment of the mindset reappraisal intervention was undertaken, demonstrating enhancement in esport action performance, including accelerated completion times and heightened shooting accuracy. Bruh. This intervention cultivated a stress-enhancing mindset, lowered cognitive and somatic anxiety, fostered challenge appraisals, and underscored the practical efficiency of cost-effective interventions with the specific context of our performance task, effective management of arousal levels, and educating esports competitors on stress mindset implications may improve performance under pressure, offering valuable insights for esport performance psychology. Bro, okay. Sick. Okay. I think what they're going to say... Okay, here. They're talking about arousal reappraisal. Okay? Arousal reappraisal involves perceiving physiological arousal, such as an increased heart rate, noticed through interoception, as a facilitative tool rather than a debilitative process, or debilitative response. Nailed it. Okay. So, why I think this is really important, I'm gonna copy and paste it here. This fact. Why I think arousal reappraisal is really, really important is because, like, let's take the example of stimulants. If you have ADHD or take stimulant medication, or for my if you take stimulants from a street pharmacist, be careful. Even caffeine, for example, caffeine, Monster, energy drinks, these types of things, like, it's really interesting because when people take stimulants or when people drink caffeine, taurine, those types of stimulant drinks or energy drinks, what happens is it actually increases your somatic responses, right? Things go faster. So, for example, your heart may beat faster. You may sweat. You may get the shakes. Your thoughts may go faster. You may breathe harder. These things may increase because stimulants make you go. So once this happens, people think that they're becoming more anxious or they feel anxious, but that's just how you know it's working, baby. Like, that's what it does when it kicks in, right? So instead, what's really, really important is that you understand how the medication, how the energy drink affects you, how caffeine and other stimulants affect you, so you can understand and reappraise what's happening to you somatically. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm freaking out right now, bro, like everything is going so fast, I'm shaking, blah, 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 I'm gonna have a heart attack. Okay, maybe I'm not that kind of doctor, maybe you are. But what I'm trying to say is, like, instead of freaking out and thinking, oh my God, this thing is scary, I'm being anxious, you can actually reappraise that experience, that arousal of your body or of your mind, and say, this is what happens when I take my medication, or this is what happens when I drink too much coffee, or when I have a Red Bull, or whatever. Like, this is a normal process that happens. So if you can understand that, then you don't freak out, you kind of expect it, and then you can use it to your benefit. So that's all reappraisal is. All right, see, the strategy allows individuals to reconceptualize pressure as a coping mechanism. Okay, so another thing that this kind of reminds me of when you talk about, like, reappraisal and things like that, basically it's kind of like a reframe. And what a reframe is seeing something and then looking at it from a different perspective that's more healthy instead of something that's going to stress you out and kill you. So, for example, this strategy allows individuals to reconceptualize pressure. So instead, as something pressure is bad, when I feel pressure, that means I'm going to succumb to it. I'm going to freak out. Instead, you can use it as a resource or as a coping mechanism to actually help you do better. For example, if you're that type of person or has that friend that, does this, when you're going to turn something in and that, or in school, like a really big paper or project or whatever, and then you always have that one person that says, I'm going to put it off because I need the pressure to turn it in or do good work or to make me do it. That's kind of this, or like when that last, maybe because the league season is finishing, maybe you had a friend that was like really trying to grind it out to get a higher rank. And so they were just like grinding because they need the pressure to help them perform. That is maybe if you do that in real life, perhaps you can use that same process of using pressure to focus yourself. Same kind of thing. Because oftentimes what people say, right, I need the time crunch, or I need that pressure to help me focus or really make me do the things I need to do. I need the or else I'll die and then I can focus. I mean, if it works, it works. I mean, it works until it doesn't. But hey, if that's you, bro. Dude. Presented initial reports for advantages of arousal reappraisal as participants who performed a reappraisal intervention reported more constructive interpretation of psychological arousal, performed better on pressurized single. Okay, look at that. Performed better in golf. More favorable, but not a statistically significant cardiovascular response. So kind of calm them down, maybe. So I guess like another reappraisal that I really liked is like, oh, sir, you're surrounded. And he's like, great, now I know where the enemy is. Yeah, research has indicated approaching combination. Yo, you're here. What's good, Dice? How's it going, baby? Are you here mentally or physically? That's the question, baby. That is the question. Specifically, stress mindsets are outlooks about how one perceives the experience of stress. I had to finish trolling a ranked game where someone talking too much shit after stealing my pick. Oh, bro, what did they steal from you? And how long did you have to wait for that ranked game, man? That's the only thing holding me back from, like, playing ranked is waiting for 10 minutes. So I was forced to pick Medivh and fly around and practice spraying. Happens. Was it worth the points? That's my question, Dice. Was it worth the points? Yes. Hey, you know what? You can't fight with that, baby. If it's worth the points, it's worth the points. What did they steal from you? I was watching, freaking, you were there. I was watching Funds play Vala, and that's what I want to do now. I want to play auto attack Vala, because that thing was crazy. Oh, they picked Illidan second round. Snap. Ugh. Vomit. Gross. Ooh, okay, this is a question for you guys too. Okay, specifically, stress mindsets are outlooks about how one perceives the experience of stress. So I guess the question is like, what's your relationship with stress? Like, what do you think stress does? What's your value of stress? Someone should play Tychus. So I said, you should do that instead of Butcher, and they snap locked Illidan. So I was like, okay, buddy. What a tilter. What a tilter. But here's the thing. Would you rather have Illidan or Butcher? Both are pretty cringe in a ranked game, IMO. Pretty cringe. Unless you have only auto attackers, then Illidan makes sense to me. Given the intricate nature of stress, which can potentially yield both advantages and debilitating consequences, stress mindsets functions as simplifying frameworks that orient individuals towards specific set of anticipations and motivations. I'd rather play a game where I'm not forced to, on a role where my team fails in theirs and I'm on something that I can't be effective on. I don't know. What's your role? What's your role? What is your role? Like force on tank with towers. When team won't group bot ever, we get 40 0'd off lane. Bro, that's a rough lane, man. I think in HOTS, like being able to off lane and double soak and observe, like knowing when to go to a team fight and stuff is so rough. But I'm low rank, but I can do anything if necessary, I guess. I'm low rank, but okayish understanding of fundamentals. It's a different fundamental game, I think, when you do share all that kind of stuff, you know, like XP and things like that. Honestly, if you have a really good offlaner, like in low elo, game is so easy. I think. And I think like even with this, like talking about this, right? I think it's really interesting when you talk about mindsets in games, because like even offlane has its own mindset. For example, like what you're paying attention to, what you find valuable, what like how you put pressure on a team. Like it's such a, like you have to have that correct mindset of what it's your prio. Like are kills like the prio? Not really. What's more important for offlane is being able to trade effectively and then being able to soak experience for the rest of your team. And if you have an incorrect mindset playing off lane, or you are playing, like you will fundamentally play that role incorrectly or inefficiently. And so mindsets are just something, the way you think about something, the way you see something. So when we talk about stress, when we talk about pressure, when you talk about growth, it's all your perception or your ideas about what that means to you and how you can do it effectively. And the really interesting thing about mindsets too, and because you had to get off this tilter game for you, man, like what's really interesting in mindsets, if you really think about it, is that like beneath each mindset, or what grounds mindsets, are values. And like if you're tilted, it's the best way to figure out, or the fastest way to figure out what is your values. If you want to really think about it, like the other ways to find it is hurt. Whenever you get hurt, whenever you get sad, and whenever you get mad, angry. These three feelings underneath, very shallow underneath, is a value. Sure, you could go the other way when you're happy to find your values, because if you like something, then you can see what makes you happy and why it makes you happy. That's true. But sad, hurt, and upset, like those, draw your attention more. It's kind of like pain. You know, when you experience pain, it really focuses your attention. So here's a trick. If you really want to focus yourself or ground yourself in the present, don't hurt yourself. That's not what I'm gonna say. Strong mints, super sour candy can really help you cut through whatever you're thinking about to really ground you in the here and now. Because think about putting like a Warhead black cherry in your mouth for the first time. You're like, woo, and that's all you can think about. It's like, woo, this thing is so sour, woo. Or like maybe one of those grenade gums that have like very mentholy. When you put it in your mouth, you start chewing, you're like, woo, really clears out the sinuses. You're grounded in the present. You know what I mean? If the 4-man does their job and doesn't take stupid fights needlessly, yeah, good offlaner is a huge difference. Yeah, so many games are just don't feed, get caught, soak. Yes, absolutely. That is like the different mindset, right, of than an assassin, which is like feed, kill, or like a support player thinking of utility, or like thinking of heals, or thinking about preventing damage. You know, it's a different kind of mindset. And then you can think about when you get tilted of like, man, these people are not they just want to fight, and that's not how you play it, right? I think good players, here's the value part, are able to understand when to fight, when to not fight, when to be seen, when not to be seen. And this is how I believe or see the game, you know? So you can even think about when you get tilted in your mindset, what are the values that are getting hit on for you that make you upset about this teammate? So for example, with this Illidan pick. When they insta-lock that and you got like, cringy, you know, or a little upset about that pick. The value for you, I think, Dice, might have been like, man, this person's not being a very team player in a team-centered game. And they're literally griefing me. And this, you know, maybe it's valuing of time. I really value time. And I'm going to spend, God, 20, 30 minutes in this game. That's a really long game. With this person, or I could be doing something else more productive with my time. But instead, I'm getting griefed by this person. You know, so the values, sure, could be game related, but they could also be like person related, you know? Ooh, look at this. Look at this. Very true. Yeah. Think about it. It's really interesting. What I love about games too, in this discussion that we're having, is like, yes, games are great because it helps you like have fun or can help you learn about yourself. But what I think games actually do is really help you look inside of yourself to see who you are, what you think. And it's just a fun way to do it. Those who, okay, here's this one. How's this? Those who perceive sufficient coping resources, like, for example, I had a teacher, a professor in college for Psych 101, and she was telling us about, like, there was a syllabus day. And I remember her talking about, like, you know, you should never be stressed in this class. And she defined stress as a lack of resources. And she said, you should never be stressed because you'll always have an overabundance amount of resources. You can look this up. You can come to office hours. You can come to class. Like, whatever you all need, you just come and ask for it and you'll receive it. So that's a different way of looking at stress. So those who perceive sufficient coping resources tend to view the situation as a challenge. So, for example, if you feel like you have enough resources, you have enough tools, you have enough abilities, then you probably will see it as a challenge, versus if you don't have resources, it's a threat, right? For example, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to overcome this. These people are just going to like do these things and I can't stop them. You're probably going to see it as a threat, versus like, I can put up a fight and it's a challenge for me to overcome. So, I mean, another way to think about that, right? Like, there's like the theory of like an abundance mindset and like a scarcity mindset. So think about like when you have a lot of time and all the resources to do things. You're not so stressed about it and you can take options, think of many different ways to do it and do the thing, versus like, think of like first month of COVID when everyone had to stay inside and people were like panic buying food because they couldn't leave their house, you know, and like what it was like for people to go out and like fight for food or whatever. It's very scary. So that's like a scarcity mindset, right? So making sure that you always have enough resources to address the situation, or finding resources for you so you can look at things as challenges versus things that are going to kill me. Yo, Sham, wow, what's good, baby? I see you. How you been? Long time no see, my friend. Long time no see. All right. The attention control theory delineates challenge appraisals with a balanced influence of goal-directed and stimulus-driven systems, whereas threat appraisals exhibit an increased influence of the stimulus-driven system. Okay, here's a question for you then. In an attempt to cultivate a more positive mindset, as someone with a massive cynical background, I'm trying to focus on the whole opportunity challenge thing, right? Adjusting the paradigm, but it still feels bad, like a natural when I think about it. Thoughts, analysis? Yeah. I'm trying, okay. I don't know why my mind went to underwear, but it's like if you grew up wearing briefs, like briefs, like tidy whities, And then as you got to middle school, you transitioned to boxers. Like, sure, maybe the tighty whities and like compression shorts do feel comforting because they're tight. It's what you grew up with. You know, they keep things close to the body. So maybe if you're using them to work out, like things don't get in the way, you know? But maybe as you transition, you start wearing boxers, you're like, oh, this feels weird. But there's nothing wrong with it. You just haven't gotten used to the feeling. You know, it's the same thing with like going to the gym for the first time. Actual real scenario, it had happened, I relate. Yeah, so I mean, like, underwear is underwear, right? But at the same time, you wearing a different style of underwear at first is gonna feel weird and different and unnatural because it's not something that you've done before or felt before or worn before. But as you continue to wear boxers and you get used to the swang or the breeziness or the feeling of what boxers feel like, it becomes more comfortable, it becomes more natural, and it's just now boxers. You know what I mean? Or like I said, if the gym, at first when you go to the gym, everything is new, you don't know what to do, it feels weird to go. Maybe even when you start lifting weights, it hurts a little bit because you have never lifted weights before. And then you go home, you wake up, and you're like, ow, you know? But as you continue to go to the gym, as you continue to see the people in the gym, as you continue to use the machines or do the exercises, sure, it may still feel a little weird because maybe you haven't done it before, but it gets more comfortable. It becomes more routine. So just like, you know, maybe if you have this natural inclination to be a little bit more cynical or, you know, you think a certain way, it's about practicing this mindset or catching yourself and then making it be more comfortable. Now, just because you're going to practice the skill doesn't mean that you might not, that doesn't mean that you might slide back into your old ways of thinking, right? Think about this picture again. If this is your cynicalness, cynicism, I don't know how you want to say it, right? This might be your natural inclination to think, to respond, to perceive. And we're going to work on increasing and putting points into this different mindset. But as we put points into this mindset, and if you get tired, it might be easier to slip naturally back into this old way of thinking. Another way to think about this too is like, think about, like, I want you to imagine like a field, okay? Like a field and it's full of wheat or some like flowing grass, okay? Think about that. Maybe like a corn maze because like Halloween is coming. So think about like a cornfield. Okay, now say in this cornfield, you walk one path every single day, okay? From like maybe your house to the gym, you walk this path, okay? Eventually, what's gonna happen is that like the path from your house to the gym is gonna be more clearly defined with each time you go, right? There's gonna be less corn. The corn may turn into a dirt path or whatever, right? That is your cynical behavior or cynical mindset, for example, okay? So your cynical mindset is just going to be easier, for example, for you to fall back into because it is a clearly defined path. Versus when you say start going to, I don't know, your friend's house or a different way to the gym, okay? You start going and making a new path and the path is less defined because you haven't walked along it a lot. And so because the path is less defined, maybe it's going to be easier for you to go back to the old path that you've really got down pat, you know? In the same way, that's kind of how it works with your neurons in your brain and habits and behaviors. Like at first you keep doing something, you keep going somewhere, like you keep thinking about something in a certain way. You have a natural inclination to think about these things that way, to perceive things that way, to respond to things that way. And the process of creating a new mindset or a new habit or a new way of being is just like the creating a new path. So the thing I want to tell you about that is try not to beat yourself up about trying something new and being unable to do it or it being harder to do. I think that's really unfair of you because you're learning a new skill. Think of like riding a bike, right? Or you ever watch a baby walk? Like that's kind of how you got to see it. Like you never see a baby fall on their face and thinking like, man, I'm a dumb baby, I'm never gonna be able to walk. They literally just like look around, get up, and then try again. That's the same kind of way that I want you to approach this, not positive mindset, but more different mindset, a more efficient mindset for you. And like I said, the other thing to understand is it's gonna be harder if you're tired, because if you're tired, you're gonna naturally slide back into your old ways of thinking because it's easier. That's where I'd go with it for you, man. Like, it's I think what's really cool about what you're saying though is that you're trying to create moments of more awareness and intentionality about how you want to think. Because I think what's really frustrating, really challenging is when players or people say like, I do this. And then I say like, okay, so what do you want to do differently? And they say, I don't, I just do this. Like, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you like it here? Do you want to change it? Is this how it's going to be forever? But if you're saying that like, hey, this is my mindset and this is what I'm falling into, what can I do? Love it. That's great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where's it down to? I think Quiet Eye, like I think I read a study with Quiet Eye. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how they can observe you through a camera to see how fatigued you are just by the pupil diameter. I think it's really interesting. And like when you're really focused, like it like, what's that word I'm looking for? It like, not dilate. Dilates get bigger, but it like constricts. Crazy what they can do. Oh, look, they use Counter-Strike. Nice. Let's go down to the discussion. That's what we want, baby. But yeah, I think it's really interesting what you're saying. It's just something that you haven't, you haven't really practiced before. That's all. That's all we're talking about. We're talking about practice, baby. We're talking about practice. Okay. Give me another one. Emojifier multimodal app. The fuck? It's really interesting how, like, I think I read something about music and growth mindset. I thought that was really interesting. Man, I miss all this kind of stuff. I love psychology when I was back in school, but it felt like in order to have any kind of job applications, you need to go so far and so deep into it. I mean, yes, to do something. I think that's the junk thing. Right? Like when people ask me like, oh, Ryan, I really want to get into psychology. What do I do? I'm like, okay, you ready for school? You're ready for school? You need at least 2 more years after you graduate. That's it. At the same time, the cool thing about psychology though, is like to work on yourself, you don't need any degree, but to work on somebody else, yeah, you totally do. Because at the same time, the mind is such an interesting and scary place. And I think the most interesting thing, though, like in psychology school, what they don't talk about is, yes, you learn all this stuff and you learn the DSM, which is like the diagnostic manual, which you do provide diagnosis from. But at the same time, what the bulk of psychology school is like you learning about yourself. Like there's so much reflections. There's so many hard conversations. There's so many times that you need to look in the mirror and really think about your own biases, your own perceptions, your own understandings, your own values, and learning how to shelve those while you're talking to somebody else. Of course, you yourself are the tool, but at the same time, you need to be able to step into somebody else's world, using all the research and stuff to back it up. But that is really the bulk of the school, and that takes time because, like you said, with your the way that you think and stuff like that, that's been there for a while, and so when you go to school, sometimes you have to unlearn some things, or you have to really understand things about yourself, and sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror. There's a lot of classmates struggled through some of those classes. Even myself, there were some of those classes where like, man, I haven't really thought about this thing, or why I do this thing, Whoa, what the fuck? Okay, I'm reading this abstract, bro. Okay, the blame game. Why shifting? Okay. But don't worry, baby. Come on down, Dice. We will review this stuff and we can nerd out together. This is the best part, man. Okay, the blame game. Why shifting responsibility won't lead to success. Okay, let's just abstract. It is anecdotally that said that on the journey to success, there are always a variety of trials which can test one's will and spirit for battle. Let's see. Yet instead of looking for answers to failure, there is a black hole where theories do not exist. We fall into the habit of blaming external causes, such as the system or bad luck that affects other people. To uproot this kind of metaphysical tendency is the first point of this article. It articulates blamelessness as a sure path to peace and achievement that cannot be otherwise achieved. It urges readers to bite the bullet and act proactively and responsibly in their own lives so they can indeed succeed. Consumers have claimed more rights than ever in history by cultivating true success in addition to their goals, and determination by fostering personal accountability, perseverance, and overcoming obstacles. What do you think about that? That's a big claim. It's a big claim. At the same time, like with this growth mindset and fixed mindset discussion, another thing, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little, like in a sexy way. Like I think the thing that's really interesting too is they talk about like what do they call them? Avoidant tendencies or whatever. And this there was an article. It was talking about like proactive and avoidant strategies. Basically, avoidance strategies is exactly how it sounds. Like, I don't want to do certain things, or I don't want certain things to happen, so I respond in certain ways, versus I want something to happen, so I will respond in certain ways. Like, I get what the abstract is going for, but man, that's an awful lot. Fair. Basically, I believe the TLDR would be... I think there's a balance. You know, with this abstract, when it's telling me, I want to argue that there is a balance. And some people call it cope. Some people call it, what else would they call it? I guess cope is the word I'm looking for. Some people call it cope. Some other people call it like objectivity. Maybe that's maybe the better word. But I think what's really important to understand is like, yes, I think blaming and externalizing the reasons why you aren't able to achieve the things that you want to achieve, or you didn't win the game, or you aren't able to be in the places you want to be because of other people, external factors, or things that are out of your control. I think that helps. I think that helps move you along. I think that helps you not shit on yourself too hard where you can't move or paralyze you in the process of improving or striving. I think it's important to also acknowledge the obstacles in your way, right? For example, like it would be foolish for you to like think that you can't do something because of you when really you don't have the means to do it, you know? So instead of saying like, hey, I couldn't do this because X, Y, and Z factor, I think it's important to acknowledge it so we can plan for it next time to improve. Versus, I'm terrible. If I only could fly, I'd be able to get over this wall. Versus like, all right, the wall's here. And you're like, no, the wall's not there. If I was only better, I could do it. It's like, no, this wall is here. How do you want to get around it? How do you want to get over it, under it? What do you want to do? Versus like, the wall's not there. Like, I think it's important to acknowledge the things that are getting in your way. At the same time, I think it's also very important to hold yourself accountable, or to hold yourself responsible for how you want to get over the thing using the resources that you have at your fingertips right now. I think that's also really, really important to acknowledge. So I do think there's a balance between acknowledging things that are in your way and at the same time acknowledging the tools and resources you have to overcome it. I think that the blamelessness portion is fine, but as long as you can distinguish between blame and causality. I think another thing too, especially when you're working on teams, I think we'd call this holding somebody accountable. Because, for example, like, say we're bad at double soaking, and Jason is like, you know, I am going to learn how to double soak. I'm going to go get coaching. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to stop fighting so much. And everyone's like, yeah. Sounds good, Jason. Sounds good. And then the next game, Jason just goes off the script again and just starts trying to fight. He's trying to overextend. He's trying to do all these other things that he didn't say he was going to do. He didn't get the coaching, all those kinds of things. And then we come to the team meeting. It's like, Jason, what are you doing, bro? I thought you were going to do this. It's like, oh no, everyone's blaming me. It's like, no. We're trying to hold you accountable because you told us you're going to do these things and then you didn't. And because you didn't do that, we couldn't play this way, you know? So maybe, yes, I do think we take the blame out. But at the same time, I think it's really important that you're able to hold accountability for those things that we agreed handshaked on to improve. So for example, say like you want to improve, right? And then you don't do the things that you say you're going to do. You don't go to the gym. You don't fix your sleep schedule. You don't eat healthy. You don't do, go for a walk. You don't really focus on your mindset. You don't do the training part. And then you're like, oh, well, it's not me, it's everybody else. Versus, I'm going to have to hold myself accountable to do the things that I said I was going to do to improve. You know, I think blame, there's like a guilt and shame, waggy finger versus like, hey, man, we agreed. Let's hold yourself like responsible or accountable. Like, there's less of that like waggy at why aren't you doing the thing, you know? But yeah, I agree with you. As long as you can kind of distinguish between blame, responsibility, causality, you know, maybe the word we're looking for is objectivity, right? Maybe that's what we're looking for. Objectivity. Because another thing that really gets in people's ways too when they're trying to improve or fix their mindset is the feeling of how bad it feels. You know, like this feels bad. And if this feels bad, I'm going to try to avoid this bad feeling versus sitting with it, maybe even leaning into it and thinking about why this feels so bad. Because I think too, people also have a really bad tendency to like beat the fuck out of themselves, you know, just beat themselves up really, really bad. And say like, I should have known, why aren't I doing these things? And it's that process. Another mindset, right? Is a learning mindset is like, what is your beliefs about what learning is supposed to feel like? How long is it supposed to take? What's the process going to be like? What's the best way for you to learn? Is it being kind to yourself? Is it being a dick to yourself? Is it being objective? Like, what is your learning process and what are your expectations built into learning? And then maybe if we can change those things to make it a little more healthy or feel better, then you won't get stuck on the feelings and you'll actually do the process, or the process will feel better. But at the same time, what we need to do is really manage the expectations of what that's going to be like. And essentially, that's what a mindset is, right? Like, it helps the mindset or helps the expectations of what it's supposed to be like. Whoa, what the fuck? What is this? Dude, honestly, it's just so fun to scroll. It's just so fun to scroll and get lost in these thoughts, bro. All right, achievers, explorers, wanderers, and intellectuals. Educational interaction in a Minecraft open world action adventure game. What the fuck? Highlights. Experienced Minecraft players were fast to adapt to open world education game. Experienced Minecraft players were actively engaged and committed to educational content in an open world adventure game format. Inexperienced players interacted less with interactional content but remained persistent in an open world learning environment. Open world action adventure game functions better to mediate symbolic than narrative knowledge. Interesting. Open world serious game requires a good choice architecture to guide inexperienced players to. Okay, not exactly what I thought it was gonna be, but. I mean, all right, you guys ready for this thought? You ready? You ready? Okay, from a different perspective, yo, what I love about games is that like it just allows you to learn and see yourself from a different perspective. Like what I mean by that is like, okay, school was really boring for most people and you had to be there. It was like something you had to do, and if you didn't do it, you probably could get arrested or it was really bad, right? But if you think about school, what it really taught you was how to learn things. Like, how do you learn? Do you learn stuff by reading? Do you learn stuff? Oh, school is awful. Agreed, bro. It's rough, man. I didn't go to school for the learning part. I went to school for, you know, people. But at the same time, what I learned was how I was learning about people in situations, like social situations, you know, and that kind of primed me for a psych school, and here I am. But for you, like, ask yourself or think back, how did you learn? Did you learn? And then how are you trying to learn in game? Are you using the same kind of mechanics? For example, are you the person that was like, you watching YouTube videos or finding online resources for you to try to learn the topics or whatever in a better way? And then do you currently now watch YouTube videos and things to learn about how to play your game? Do you need to read a blog or forum or like the book that had all the information? And now do you read the same kind of things to learn more information about games? Do you like talking to people about the game? For example, direct teaching with a teacher. Do you need experience where you fall on your face and then you're like, man, I failed this test. Okay, what do I have to do to pass the test? And then you teach yourself that way. So like you do the same thing in game with your each game or each rank or things like that. Like you're just basically learning. And then what is that process of learning? Is there parallels between how bad it felt to learn in school and how bad it feels to, you know, learn in game? There are awesome parallels that you can ask yourself. The biggest thing I learned about school is how poorly the system was supposed to look after children actually looked after children. Yeah. The whole no child left with a mind thing was bad too. Standardized testing, I think was I can understand the reasons and the utility of standardized testing. At the same time, I think it does a disservice to so many people. And I think the problem too is like, because teachers and the system like sucks, like teachers get paid like peanuts, and because they don't get paid, it's like again, value based, right? If you invest in something, you pay somebody money, and depending on how much money you pay for or you invest in it, also shows how much value you have in it, right? So if you have little investments, thus little value in school, scary. IMO. My mom was a teacher, then she was a counselor, so rough. SMEs. What are SMEs? Medium. Stupid monkeys. Medium size. Wait. Small and medium sized enterprises. I feel like the most amazing thing to me was that people attribute memorization to learning. Oh, dice. Dice, baby. So you memorize things and repeat them back, then forget them, and they're useless to you afterwards. I realize that's not everyone, but it was a lot for me. You know, I completely agree with you, Dice. I think that is, and here's the worst part, right? Okay, I see this all the time. Okay, especially with kids or people that thought, man, I want to be a doctor. Like, since I was 3, I wanted to be a doctor, or people told me that I was going to be a doctor or a vet or whatever. And they get like, they're really smart, right? They can do the memorization thing. So, you know, they smash all the tests, they get really good grades, then they don't have to study, you know, this naturally kind of pick it up. It's something that's intuitive to them, and this happens in games too. I'll tell you, I'll show you the parallel. Like, they're just naturally inclined to pick up this information, or they're good at science or whatever, right? And then they go to college. Because they didn't study, because they didn't struggle, because they didn't have to think about why they wanted to be a doctor versus I'm just good at this stuff. Right when they take the chem, bio, physics, OChem, whatever weeder class, and all of a sudden the curve is like crazy, right? And if you get like 20%, you get a B or some shit like that. Like, right when they experience that class or series of classes and they actually have to struggle, and they maybe bio doesn't come as easy, or OChem doesn't come as easy, or physics doesn't come as easy, then they have this moment where they're like, oh my god, who am I always thought I wanted to be a doctor, and people told me I was gonna be a doctor. I did so well in high school, this stuff came so easy to me, but now I'm here and I don't get it and I feel stupid. What's happening? And they have this moment of like, oh my god, who am I? This identity crisis or whatever, because they didn't learn anything. They just used their memory, and they didn't struggle, so they didn't have to force themselves to learn. They weren't challenged, so they didn't really ask themselves those questions. And now they're kind of getting screwed. And this happens in games too, especially with pros. Sometimes pros, they're naturally gifted at the game. I only watching. Yo, what's up, Zamboni? What's good, baby? Like, welcome to the stream, baby. Like, pros, this happens to them too. Like, they'll have players that are just God-given talent. You know, maybe they climb, they get to the highest level, then they get picked up naturally, but then they've only played solo queue. And as soon as they have to learn team stuff, or the other things like how not to be a dick, how to communicate, how to like, I don't know, be self-regulated, all those other things that come with being a pro besides just pushing buttons. When that happens, or they start losing, or they start meeting challenges that they haven't met before, now they start freaking out and like, I don't know how I got here. I was just really good, kept playing, and now I'm here. Versus, I was learning the entire time I was climbing. I was just not just winning, but I was focusing on these things that were getting me these wins. Or each game I was trying to learn X, Y, Z, and that's what I was actually doing, like, to get here. So being intentional in your learning process and just staying away from memorization, just focusing on the mechanics. Like, really, when you think about it, it's all about learning. And the more that you can learn, and the more the intentional you can be in your learning process, when the challenges do come, or, you know, the hardships do come, you're not going to have this, oh my god, who am I? What am I doing here? I'm a fraud. You actually know the things that you did to get here, to understand, to get what you want. So absolutely, the memorization thing, I think, is so huge, Dice. Like, that people just memorize things versus, okay, what am I using this thing? Like, how can I actually learn this? What are the cues? What are the prompts? How does this make sense in my head? And I think the lucky thing for me was I was a freaking bad student. Like, what I mean by that was, like, because I had undiagnosed ADHD, like, I would talk all the time. I was very impulsive. It was really hard for me to, like, memorize things because, like, it's just hard. So I actually had to read all the stuff. I had to figure out how to learn the stuff in my own way. I had to leverage resources, you know, I think I actually did learn and formalize my own learning process. So I think it's good to struggle. I think it's good to fall on your face. At the same time, I think by staying away from I'm bad, this is terrible, to, okay, there's a reason why I'm struggling. How can I learn this and keep going? That's the most important. Yeah, and that was one of the first things I noticed about Psych 101 as one of my first classes when I went back to school mid-30s. A professor had us break into groups and relate the material back to our own words, which was our way of focusing on actually understanding it. Little things, you know? Absolutely. Like, I think the more personal you can make the information, or at the same time, what I think was really cool was probably that helped you see why it was valuable to you or how it related to you. And if you can make it closer to you, it's gonna be easier to pick up. Or like, oh yeah, another fun way to think about this too is like, if you can think in metaphors, like if you can think about it in a metaphor or a picture or something that's related to you, it's easier to stick, you know? But absolutely. Like if you can think about the material and play with it, that's essentially what you're doing. You're just playing with it, right? If you can play with it, interact with it, make it more relevant to you, you're going to learn it faster and it's going to stick longer. It's going to stick longer, honestly. Like parables, kind of like that. Yeah, like parables, baby. Because, and if you're going to, for me at least, it was like, how can I make this funny? How can I make this entertaining? Was there a funny thing in my life that reminds me of this? Or like a situation in my life that reminds me of this? That was my technique. Because if I could make it fun and enjoyable, that was the best way. Because if it was boring and mundane, like, God, not my misery, I don't want to be here. But if it was funny or something to like a movie or whatever, I could do it. We love learning about learning. Honestly, should be a class in high school, college. Yeah. Yo, what's up, hero? What's up, baby? You know, but at the same time, like, I've never been. Okay, I went to a private school in Hawaii, and like, I went to a class in California, like San Diego, because we had this track meet, so we had to like travel to San Diego, and then there was a host family we got to stay with. And bros, that class was so big. There was like 35 kids and everybody was talking. Like it was literally like from the movies. Like people were throwing things in class and talking and not paying attention. I'm like, how can you guys learn right here, man? What's going on? Not much. Just eating dinner after killing a killer workout. Let's go. Was that Killer Workout League? I think your duo wants you to be working out. Working out some Warwick. Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, I think... Lol, no. I'm about to league soon, though. Yeah. I played a game in Iron 4, Iron 5, and I smushed. I was so strong as Smolder. I felt like nothing could touch me, and then I realized I was in Iron 5. It's like, well, that's why. Okay, what is it? Maybe it's growth mindset. Maybe this better results. Okay, I want to click this one. I got to. Exploring a game-based intervention. Let's come back. Exploring a game-based intervention for unemployed young adults. Thematic analysis. Promoting positive psychologies that promote resilience, such as growth mindset, could be beneficial for young unemployed adults. So if you're a young unemployed adult, growth mindset, baby. As many lack the self-esteem and self-efficacy, dude, that word always gets me, to cope with job search adversity. Dude, it must be really discouraging too, I think. Also, okay, here's another theory why I think it makes it so hard for young people to go through adversity. This is a general discussion or a thought. This is not like all young people, but this is an observation that I've been making. And I think I gotta blame the parents a little bit, because I think that like parents really want to protect their kids. And I think parents probably reflect on their own life and think, man, I had a really hard time. I don't want my kids to struggle as much as I did, which is fair. I mean, that's a great thing. I love that. You know, like I think that you should, you know, help your kids. You shouldn't like make them struggle. Don't beat them. You know, some kids need to get hit, but don't beat them. You know, but they said, man, my life was hard. I don't want to pass on this. I want my kids to have an easier life than I did. But because they want to protect their kids and they want to limit the amount of stress or challenges they go through, it actually stifles their ability to grow or manage challenges or stressors. And because of that, like if they always rely on mommy and daddy to save them or know that they're going to get bailed out somehow, it prevents them from learning how to have self-esteem, that they can overcome the challenges and know that they have self-efficacy, or that they can do things to help them cope with adversity, because they've always had someone to come save them or whatever. But instead, it's that learning how to cope, learning how to depend on yourself to grow or to catch yourself when you fall, become your own Superman or Superwoman, super person, that prevents them from doing this. You know, an example that I have of this is like when I was doing my internship, I was in a high school, and there was this kid, nice kid, lovely kid, but the problem was his parents really coddled him. So for example, like he didn't make the volleyball team for high school, and guess what his parents did? You'll never believe this. They made him a volleyball team and a volleyball court in his backyard, and they like did all this stuff so he could play volleyball because he didn't make the team. You know, he wanted to start a business to make money, so they bought him like the top of the line like power washer to do like power washing sidewalks or power wash driveways and stuff like that. But guess what? Fucking power washing sucks, bro. You're in the sun, you're like bent over, it takes a lot of work, right? And I think he did like one time and then said, I'm done with this, you know. And so I was reviewing this case with yikes is right, Dice. I was reviewing this case with my supervisor, and he said, you know what, I'm really sad for this kid. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, he lives a super sweet life, he's like really rich, he lives on this side of the island, it's like ballin'. He goes, yeah, that may be true. At the same time, what I think might happen is he might just the future for him might just be him living in his parents' basement, being upset with his parents because his life is not what his life is not what he wanted it to be. I was like, damn, that's true. That's true. And he's probably gonna blame his parents for everything that's gone wrong because his parents have saved him every time something has gone wrong. Like, damn. I never thought of it like that. But I think because maybe it's like we're taught stress is bad, or, you know, you should be happy, or, you know, things should come easy if you're good at them. I think we're also not teaching people how to struggle, or what's a good stress, or what's a good challenge versus anxiety is bad, stress is bad, run away, just use your social pacifier, you know, all those types of things, versus like actually building skills to become more self-sufficient. And you know, if you want to learn how to live your life, like not live your life, but you can live your life better, visit my website, psychsensei.com. There we can discuss what you want to learn so you can reclaim your life and live whatever you want to live, you know, versus blaming the powers that be, or things that get in your way, or things out of your control that are preventing you from doing the things that you want to do. And the best part about this is games is an excellent place to learn this, because the moment of awareness is when things go wrong in game, where do you point the finger? You say, man, it was that fucking Illidan, man, that was like griefing it. Or man, my teammate was really running it down, like that wasn't me, you know? Or are you pointing it to, okay, that was me, this is what I want to do moving forward, you know? This is something I want to do to learn, this is what I want to do next time. Or do you just hone that finger on you, be like, I suck forever, you know? Scary, don't do that. But again, using games to provide yourself with moments of awareness, I think is super helpful. All right, these young people may reach us at scale through web-based delivery of self-administered positive psychology interventions. However, yeah. Because again, what games teach you is that you can improve. You know, and if you can improve in games and you can learn and climb in games, why can't you do that in real life? You know, or if you can self-soothe or regulate yourself in games and harness your focus in games, why can't you do that in life? That kind of reminds me of my best friend growing up, who was literally the definition of white privilege. Never experienced that. I heard it's nice though. Heard it's nice. But he always put in the work. All A's in AP classes, went straight to sophomore in college because of his grades, full scholarship. It was wild to see, but I feel like it's extremely rare example. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's really cool that he put the work in, you know? I think that was part of it, right? He actually put the work in. Because I think sometimes people don't put the work in, and that's kind of where it gets dicey, or the privilege thing comes out. But, you know, I think once people are able to invest in themselves and not leverage so much of their privilege, I mean, if you got it, baby, you know, smoke them if you got them. But if you're actually able to see, you know, what you want to do and how you can use your strengths or whatever, I think that's great. Versus over relying on them, right? Last time we talked about the overuse of strengths and things like that. So if you can dial back overusing your strengths and understanding how you want to learn, most important. All right, I'm gonna look at this one. I'm really interested. Focus on growth, mastery, and accepting difficulty. Help. Okay, this is a huge word. Accepting. I think that's something, if I could teach that in school, that's something I would want to teach intentionally, is like the practice of acceptance. And when I say acceptance and the practice of acceptance, I don't mean that like, all right, I accept the situation, come take me world, this is how it is and forever will be. That's not what I'm talking at all. What I mean by that is acknowledging the things around you and accepting that some things can change and some things cannot change. You know, for example, it's going to be hard. I accept the difficulty of it being hard and difficult, and I'm going to do my best. I think that's really important. You know, I accept that this might be challenging. I accept that I've failed and I need to move on. Like that acceptance versus like holding on to the negativity or the feelings that may hold you back from seeing how to move forward or how to grow. That's what I mean by acceptance. But I don't think oftentimes people know how to accept and how to let go. And that really jacks up their expectations and fucks them up. But I mean, not Buddhist philosophy, but I think Buddhists do a really good job of the acceptance piece, so they can move forward. I really like that. But accepting, I think, is really important. I mean, grief, right? That's part of it. Because I think why it's so important in grief is because you can't change some things. Things are just shitty, and it may be shitty for a little bit, and that's okay. And accepting difficulty helps players persist past failure. Gaming failure facilitates persistence when players can identify oh my god, maybe I should read this. Learning focused, positive, and forgiving settings empowers players to persevere. Self-efficacy and break-taking, are crucial for persistence in and outside of gaming. I think this is huge. So basically what self-efficacy is and why it relates to growth mindset is self-efficacy is your belief, that you can do it and be effective efficacy in the thing that you're doing, right? Like you are able to overcome, you're able to address the challenge, you're able to do the thing. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, there's no way you can have a growth mindset, because that's kind of fixed, right? I cannot do it. I suck. This is something that's broken inside of me, or I cannot achieve this. I don't have any self-efficacy. Versus having a growth mindset of like, I believe I can change. I believe I can do this. I am self-efficient. So what I'm hearing is don't rage queue. You know, I'm so glad that you brought up tilt queue. I think that's a very interesting discussion in general. My question is why? No, I do it too. You know, I gotta catch myself. But from a different perspective, think about it like this. Like, because somebody else a little bit ago asked the question of like, do you think they'll ever clean up solo queue behaviors and trolls and things like that? And like, I think to a certain extent they want to make sure that the community is not too toxic, but at the same time, they kind of want a little bit of, like, maybe not, I don't know how much, but at least a sprinkle. At least a little sprinkle of toxicity. And this is why, right? Or toxicity trolley and rage cures like you and me and us. And the reason I think that they want to do it is because, listen, if I borrow research, right, from Facebook and like social media and things like that, what they found is that people don't interact with puppies as much as they do with rage baiting posts and like misinformation, right? People are having a good day, or yay, or look at this awesome thing I'm doing. People don't really care about that. People want things, or will interact with things that make them mad, right? They'll spend more time fighting. They'll spend more time looking for counterpoints. They'll spend time reading comments about, oh my God, these people are so stupid. How can they believe this too, right? So if we borrow that information, and if, you know, if something is free, first of all, nothing's free. The cost is your attention and time. That's what you're paying for, right? Or paying with. So if we borrow that same mindset, and put it into games, absolutely, old Tyler 1 content, very good. Like, if you apply that to games, like, that's what keeps people in the game sometimes, is being upset until they get that one win. And then they get that one win, they feel great, then like, I'm gonna play again, they get mad because they lose, or they get tilted, and then they spend more time playing in the game, right? And then we get into kind of like risky gaming behavior and stuff like that. But that's why I think that, like, they'll never truly fix all the rage, all the trolls in a game, because it keeps people playing. But if you do rage queue, you know, you get one, but this is your moment of awareness, right? Your moment of awareness. If you want to maybe change what you're doing, if you know what you're doing and why it's happening, that's really, really important, you know? But now that you know, maybe it's time to, right here. Self-efficacy and break taking are crucial for persistence in and out of gaming. Maybe it's time for you to take a break. Because maybe it's not going to go well. You know what I mean? That's all. That's all. The end. But yeah. Really interesting. I think I should read this, because if this is on my own time, of course, I think this is something interesting. If this is what the key takeaways from this study, you know, I don't even know what this game is. Oh my God, it's a scroller. It's a dungeon scroller. Interesting. A 2D scroller. And bro, if they can get this information and data out of something like this, bro, why couldn't you apply that to whatever game you're playing? But at the same time, like, another question for y'all would be like, what is your relationship with failure? Like, what are your associations with failure? What are your attributes to yourself of failure? And when you think of the, like, time, how permanent do you feel failure is? Like, do you see failure as small little blips, or do you see failure as forever and ever will be? You know, because I think another important thing to think about is your perception of time, and how you ascribe that label to how long you ascribe that label to yourself. And then that dictates the mindset, your expectations, the learning process. I think those are all super important. So even thinking about relationally, the mindset towards failure and what that means to you. And then, do you fail? Okay, here's another question. Did you fail? Or are you the failure? You know, is it something you did? Or is it something you are? I think that's another really important to think about, because if that's something you did, you can change what you did. But it's harder if that's something like deep core, like, I believe I'm a failure, to kind of change. That's a deep core value. You know, that's kind of scary. And you're not. I'm here to tell you that you're not. You're not a failure. You just did bad, and it feels bad, but it's okay. You can get up. Whoa, what? Mindfulness and growth mindsets as protective factors for the impact of media multitasking on academic performance. The meeting role of self-control. What? And by the way, unlucky. There's no such thing as this. Like, there's no such thing as multitasking. You're not multitasking, you're just task switching. Like, for example, say like I'm reading this, someone texts me, right? What's gonna happen? I think I'm multitasking because maybe I'm like kind of reading, but I'm kind of texting, but I'm kind of quiet. Like what happens is you have like in your brain, think of this, it's happening really quickly. But the process is you're reading, processing this, someone texts you, boop. Okay, now you have to slow down. Now pause, hold this in your working memory, your visual spatial like sketchpad. Then you have to go back to your phone or whatever the next task is. Remember who you're talking to, what you're talking about, where you were in the conversation, then process the information that they're texting you, finish the text, do the same slowing down, holding of this information, then you're gonna go back to switch to this. Now you have to recall what you're thinking about, where you were, what's the importance of this thing, then kind of pick it back up, right? So you're not doing everything at once. You're finishing, holding, remembering, starting, remembering, executing, pausing, holding, picking back up. Like all this stuff takes extra energy too, right? From switching from task to task takes time and energy. So if you are multitasking, doing a lot of things, or you forget something, it's because you are not multitasking, you're task switching. Are you one of the multitasking is just doing multiple things very poorly, folks? You know, I wasn't, but maybe I am. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because, you know, I do it. I switch tasks all the time. And I want to believe that I'm different. But I know that I'm not. And it hurts. You know? I wish I believed I was different, but I am not. But absolutely. I vibe with that sentiment. Just curious because it's a mindset some people have. Yeah. I wish I could. As someone with ADHD, I know that's really important for me to focus on one thing at a time. But like we were talking about earlier, my natural inclination is to think about a lot of things at once, and then I do them all poorly, or I'm like, oh, I have a big list of things I want to do, and then the thing that I do that's really toxic is I'm like, I have a big to-do list and I over to do, and then I only do like one out of the trillion things I have to do, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot, why can't I do all these things? Because my perception of time is really jacked. If you have ADHD, your perception of time is jacked because typically you think you can go faster than you can go, and then you don't. Like, I believe multitasking is a thing, but like, put food in toaster oven, set timer, switch to doing something else. When timer goes off, attend to food, and that sort of thing. Yeah, I can see that. Is it multitasking, or are you just order of operating? Because yeah, the toaster oven has this much time, and in this much time I can do this, you know? So, but then at the same time, there's an order of operations that you have to go through. So, and then at the same time, you are still doing one thing at a time. You know what I mean? There's a PEMDAS to what you're saying. Like, for example, I know that if I put my clothes in now to the washer, then in 30 minutes, I can go do something else. And in that 30 minutes, I'm going to wash dishes and all this kind of stuff. I guess it depends on your definition of multitasking. Maybe it's just doing one thing at a time. Maybe. I'm thinking it's something like that. But at the same time, I can see why you would say it's multitasking, because you're doing more things at the same time. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Okay, I want to read this abstract, bro. Lurk. All right, good luck in your games, my boy. All right, the negative effect of media multitasking has been addressed in previous studies, and the widespread adoption of online learning to control the outbreak of COVID-19. Bro, if I was a high schooler or college student during COVID, I would have failed. 100%. 100% I would have failed. I could not have. I'm not a great learner like that. I would have gotten jacked up. Has further increased concerns about media use, especially media multitasking among adolescent students. However, very few studies have explored the protective factors and the potential negative effects of media multitasking. This study surveyed 465, damn, secondary school students, 246 girls. Nice. You always look for this number, man. It's always like dudes. With a paper-based questionnaire containing scales for media multitasking, mindfulness, attention awareness, growth mindset, self-control, and overall academic performance. The path analysis results showed that media multitasking negatively affected academic performance. So, there you go, dice. Bad. Mindfulness and growth mindset influence media multitasking not only directly, but also indirectly. I wonder what that is. Like, well, I'm guessing mindfulness is like presence, but I wonder if growth mindset also is like, I can do this, man. Depends how you use it, right? I can do it. Through self-control. Okay, mindfulness and growth mindset also indirectly influence academic performance through 3 mechanisms: the mediation of self-control, the mediation of media multitasking, and the sequential mediation of self-control and multitasking. The findings of this study support mindfulness and growth mindset as protective factors for media multitasking and its negative effects on academic performance. And they further indicate that self-control plays an important role in influencing mechanisms. Okay. The way that I'm going to interpret this is presence and intentionality and being here right now and understanding what you're doing. And a growth mindset is knowing that you have self-efficacy and that you can do it. So maybe that helps self-control because you're being intentional in what you're doing and you know that you can do it. That's how I think it relates without reading the study, but that's really interesting. Also, here's my shout out. Here's my hard shout out. If you really want us, I think, honestly, I used to be a mindfulness groaner, denier, honestly, and now I'm like a mindfulness enjoyer. Especially if you have ADHD, I think practicing mindfulness is super important. And just the practice, I mean, it could be different things you're practicing. It could be discipline of actually sitting down and finding time to do it and committing to that process. That could be the practice. The practice, excuse me, could be also focusing your mind on the wall, per se, or focusing your mind and being here and in the moment and trying to be intentional in the practice. That could be the whole thing too. A whole other thing could just be openness and understanding what you're thinking and being kind to yourself and guiding your mind. That could be the practice too. Like whatever you want to use mindfulness for, or people say like, man, it's really hard for me to just like calm my mind down. Yo, that's the entire fucking practice, you know? So I think really practicing or finding time or space to practice intentionality or practice attention or focus in a controlled space might be really beneficial, because when you go and try to do that in your games or try to do that in your life or whatever, it's easier to do versus trying to be present and mindful in a high stress situation when you haven't practiced it. You know, that's kind of like the difference between learning something in a scrim versus learning something in a drill, right? In a scrim or a match, there's not that much learning because you're just kind of executing, versus if you're actually doing it in a drill, you can actually fine tune it and see how it works and play with it and actually learn it and then execute it when it counts. Man, dude, I got lost in the time. And I think also it's because I had such fun friends to talk to. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Dice, for the conversation, bro. This was really insightful. I hope this helped you. Or hope made you think about some stuff. Or, dude, this was really fun. I lost track of time. Usually I do this only for an hour, but bro, we were smashing an hour and a half. I know that we really didn't talk about, like, I was kind of shocked. I thought we were gonna find more stuff. Yo, what's up, Berg? What's up, baby? Yeah, lots of stuff to think about. Yo, what's up, Berg? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. How you been? What is this? But man, by the way, chat, how's this time work? I've been trying to do it a little bit later, instead of doing it like 4 PST, but like 7 has been time I've been trying to hold. Doing a lot of studying. You're reading articles again? Well, kind of. I'm kind of using articles to have a conversation with y'all, and like if no one shows up, then it's just reading by myself, you know, which is always helpful because I think it's important to stay up with research. But I've been also using these articles to kind of just bounce off ideas with all of y'all, and seeing how some of this information might help you or apply to you for sure. But yeah, perusing, you know, keeping up with the research. Doing a lot of research, or trying to do the research. What is this? How do I? Is Google Scholar good for finding studies? Yes. I don't know why it auto-modded you. Yeah, I love... Okay, honestly, the reason why... Like, I have access to databases and stuff like that through schools and whatever. But honestly, like, the reason why I try to practice or use Google Scholar is because I really want to show that, like, this stuff isn't not accessible, right? And it's actually pretty easy to read and understand. You don't need to be like a psychology PhD, clinical psychologist, PsyD like me. Like, you can literally type in whatever you want, see what comes up, and then let your curiosity just flow, baby. You know? And yeah, some articles are really like dry. Some are so freaking dry, you know? But as long as you take something away, then the cool thing is like you have something to hold, something to like ground your thought in based on science. You know, like it's not just I read this on not I just saw a TikTok or whatever, but like no, I actually like saw this really interesting article and it made me think this. And the way that I kind of use these articles, or the thing that I really like about them, is that they really help me shape and challenge my mindset towards certain things that I find. And sometimes you find some really cool gems. Sometimes you find really cool abstracts. What is this? Like this? Like, oh, this is interesting. I never thought about this. And then sometimes they lead you on really big rabbit holes. Like, I'll show you. Here's a crazy rabbit hole. Are you ready? I'll show you a nuts rabbit hole. Okay, this is gonna... Okay, I'm gonna open this and don't be scared. But this is... Okay, I'll show you two things. This is the first thing I'll show you. Okay, I posted this on my TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but my Twitter. And if you want to check out my Twitter, there's always crazy stuff that I post. Okay. This. Come on, baby. Oh, no, that's not. Okay. Look at this crazy thing. Let me take you to a different place. I know a place. All right, that's not it. All right, this is the crazy thing that I'll show you. All right, I can zoom into. All right, this. You ever like get lost in a thought and you like need to map it out? I suggest using this app. It's really cool. I really enjoy the Scapple app. Okay. Like, what these articles make me do is it like makes me think of a question, and then from there it like makes me think about other stuff. So for example, I sat down one day and like the inspiration was gray screens, because I was watching NACL and there was this really big team fight and everyone died, everyone got aced. And then it made me think like, man, what do you think about in your gray screen? Or like, what do you think about when you die in a game? Like, what does your mind focus on? Does your mind focus on like the negative things about, oh, that was so stupid, I can't believe they were to kill me. Oh my God, my teammates are so ass. Oh my God, I'm so ass. I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, Or do you think about, okay, that sucked. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to focus on. This is the one thing I really want to improve on to make sure I don't die or I move closer to a win condition. Like, what is your thoughts and process, you know, that skeleton of what you think about in gray screen? And then I thought, man, okay, how do you think about a team comp? You know, for example, like when you're loading into a game, like, do you think about how the team comp works? Do you think about how you like how does it work? For example, okay, this is where I thought. I was like, okay, do you think about the strengths and weaknesses of your team comp? Do you think about the win condition of your team comp? How does it want to win, or how does it want to play the game? How does it do damage? Like, what's the best way to do damage or kill people, or from what range or whatever? Do you think about your individual character and how it fits into the team comp? Do you think about, you know, how do you think about your individual champion or character? Like, all these kinds of things. Like, that's basically how I'm using these articles. It just makes me think about these questions. And although this is kind of scary and crazy to most people, like, this is the kind of shit that works out of my brain. And then from there, it just keeps going, right? Like, each of these other questions makes me think about other stuff. And then from all these other stuffs, it makes you think about other stuffs, you know? So that's all these articles serve. Or the purpose of reading these articles is to keep my brain thinking about, oh, this is really interesting. How would I explain growth mindset to somebody in gaming? Or how could I help them see something different using this? Or, oh, this is where they're getting stuck. Here's this article or information that might help unstick them, you know? That's my crazy brain. My crazy ADHD brain. Holy, my guys, my friends. I didn't think I was gonna stream this long, but this was super fun. Thank you so much for entertaining me and coming and hanging out and allowing me to let the ideas bounce around. So, if you want to have more resources, or if you want to hang out, or you want to see all the links to things that I'm doing, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can find more resources, everything. Thanks, Dice, for jumping into my Discord. Please give me more advice or things that you want to see in there, or how can I clean it up. I really want to make a community, but I just don't know how. I was hanging out in there, but maybe it was not the greatest technique. But I really would like to make that Discord something for people to hang out and get information, psychology information, for sure, or how to better themselves. Maybe it's like a self-help Discord. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. But you can find all those links at my website, psychsensei.com, to my Twitter, now X, my TikToks. I try to post at least 3-4 times a day there, so check that shit out. Also, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, all those things can be found on my website, psychsensei.com. Also, soon, I'll be posting blogs. I have one about gaming addiction that's in the docket for sure, so I'll have more things there. And also, if you want to work on your win condition, you want to explore your mental, you want to make it stronger, you want to have more self-efficacy, less anxiety, just explore yourself and see how you want to live your life, yo, please fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can sit down and see what's kind of going on and have some fun together. It's always, I really love those consultations. They're always so fun. And it's completely free. So please visit my website, psychsensei.com, and there's a lot of stuff for you there. Tomorrow, I'll be back again, 7 p.m. PST. It seems to be working this time. More people are here, which is really, really cool. Or maybe I'm being more consistent, but hey, I'm glad that y'all are here. So come tomorrow, 7 p.m. PST. Maybe some kind words. That place is getting a little unhinged. I need to take a little break, but hey, man, people are going through people are writing some real letters and going through some real problems and some real struggles. So maybe we gotta clock in and do some work, you know, and just scratch our heads together. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do some more article reading. We'll see. But tomorrow, 7 p.m. PST. And then the other thing I want to say is Monday, I have to make the background again because it got deleted, but it's fine. 10:30 PST AM. Me and Casey Thomas are going back at it with Mind and Munchies, and we combine psychology with nutrition and have a nice little conversation for a little bit. So that's on Monday. But again, maybe the stream is going to be making the background because goddamn, I need to make that. Yeah, shout out to Dice. Thanks for coming and talking. That was so fun, Dice. Please come back tomorrow. We can have some good conversations. I hope this wasn't too late for you. Zamboni, thanks for coming in from the YouTubes. That's cool. Glad that people are watching it from there too. And also Hero, know you're lurking. Good luck in your game, baby. And Burr, good to see you. Long time no see. Come again, man. So thanks for coming tonight, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. PST. You guys have a nice evening. Please be safe. Hug your loved ones. Love you. Bye-bye. And remember, stronger meant to wins, gamers. Peace. Bye.